UPfront. Tonight, after the mammoth rally earlier today, President Akufo-Addo is calling on Ghanaians to exhibit unity, even in the midst of serious disagreements. For him, government programs to develop the economy to bring about prosperity requires that the populace are united behind his plans. His comments comes at a time that there is serious opposition to his government's acceptance of a United States military cooperation agreement and the arrest of the Deputy NDC General Secretary Koku Anyidohu for treason. The president was addressing a delegation from the Navrongo Traditional Council who are at the Flagstaff House to inform him of the funeral rites of the late Paramount Chief Navropio, who is also known in private life as Dr. Augustine Atudeko. That we'll be getting into later on about the president's statement, but the latest development on this particular arrest and subsequent charging of the NDC Deputy General Secretary with treason. In this case, we understand that not only have they searched the house of the man, they've secured a warrant to be able to search his phone too, and that's the latest we're getting from that. Now, the police has issued a statement, and I'll be getting you details of this particular statement, and first and foremost, get to speak on the phone to the lawyer for Mr. Koku Anyidohu. The police statement says Koku Anyidohu's case, police will follow due process. And I'm reading verbatim. It says the police administration are taking note of the high public interest following the arrest of Mr. Koku Anyidohu by officers of the CID headquarters yesterday, 27th of March 2018. In view of this, we wish to clarify the facts of his arrest and investigation as follows. A. Police officers were dispatched to the International Press Center to arrest Mr. Anyidohu, who by the statement and conduct has published statements likely to cause fear and panic and alarm to the public, and also endeavored to carry out by unlawful means an enterprise which usurps the executive power of the country. Now, the suspect was brought to the CID headquarters by the arresting officers, and a search was subsequently conducted at his residence in the presence and also of himself and his lawyer. The suspect has since been cautioned on offenses related to causing fear and alarm and treason felony, and is in the custody pending further investigation. The police administration assures the public that it will follow through due process in the investigation of the offense suspected to have been committed by Mr. Anyidohu. The public is therefore urged to remain calm and support the police in the discharge of our duties. This is signed by the Director General of Public Affairs as ACP, David Eklu, who will be getting to speak to pretty soon. But I understand on the line now is the lawyer for Mr. Anyidohu, the very person of Kojoga Adawudu. Counsel, you're welcome to UPfront.
Thank you, and good evening to your cherished viewers.
First, I want to understand this. Where is your client now? We understand early on you had access to him, and how long he's going to remain in the custody of the police or any other security agencies he is currently with?
Yes, thank you, Raymond. I had access to my clients around 1, 2 o'clock. After I had been to the BNI from 8 a.m. Whilst we were there, only they were told that they were sending documentation, a form for clearance, so that we could be asked. We were there until around 11:30. Only when we started agitating and asking that people are being paid by the public. Only simple request that, yes, you'll be able to see him or not. Somebody who we are paying with our tax money streets and decides not to give us information. So it was when I started, then somebody came and said they were in a meeting and I should go to the police. So I had to go to the police. Went to the police said they wanted some further statement from him. And we had to come back to the BNI around 2 o'clock. And that's where I saw him. He's hale and healthy. He's fine. He's doing well. He wanted to find out that what they have started by the demonstration, the things they have planned, the things that they said demonstration will go on, whether it went on, because he's still strongly so passionate that the agreement between U.S. and Ghana to mortgage our future should not hold. And he also said that, yes, our leaders have gone through some experiences they've been arrested. You read about this, but you don't go through the experience. So for this is an experience to him. And whilst writing his memoir one day, this experiences will reflect. So that is what I can say about my client and how he's doing.
The police has just issued a statement, and I believe if you say it's not gotten to your attention yet, first and foremost, we did know that it was treason. But now the police is insisting that he's being charged with treason felony and causing fear and alarm. In this particular case, have you been given any information at all as to the latest charges leveled against Mr. Anyido?
Raymond, this statement released only goes to confirm our position that the police did not even know what they were looking for. They were only fishing for information, fishing for a charge that's to slap on Koku. They started with causing fear and panic. Along the line, they said no, they didn't want that statement. It was changed to high treason. Then they said no, we don't want the high treason. My attention has just been drawn to the statement. And the statement says that offenses, this is what the statement says, that the suspects have since been cautioned on offenses related to causing fear and panic, fear and alarm, and treason felony. So what we have, we're even charged on, or we wrote statement on as treason. Now they are saying treason felony. These two offenses come under different sections. So they are saying the charges of this. We are just ready. Charge us on any offense you want. Let's go to the court. The burden is on them to prove. So any charge they slap on my client, we have not committed anything. He says he has not said anything which is treasonable or treasonable comment. He has not said anything which will cause fear and panic. So if they charge us with that, that will be it. But we are ready that at the end of the day, when we are put before a court, for a court to look into it, and the court will exercise its judicial discretion and look at it, I think at the end of the day, we would come out. The court would discharge us and say that you haven't done anything wrong, as they want society to believe. And we have also said the particular statement you are saying, let us have a look at it, analyze it, and see that, yes, what we said caused fear and panic. So that is what I can say about this statement.
It's a couple of minutes past 6 p.m. as we speak now. Have you been given any hint as to when your client will leave the confines of the security institutions?
I believe that the police have, in their statement, are saying that they will follow due process, and the due process they will follow, they know that after statements are taken, is either bail is granted or bail is refused. Now, the law also grants them, the Constitution grants them 48 hours. If it is they want to wait until 48 hours before they grant bail or put him before court, we would also wait patiently for them. What they want to do with the 48 hours or put him before court, we would definitely get there. In as much as we were having discussion as to all that they needed to do, they have done. We cannot influence or interfere with investigation and others. They believe that he has to be kept while they do their investigation. We will wait for the constitutional mandate, which is 48 hours. And if they breach the law and others, then we can now speak up, because they are the law enforcers, and I don't expect them that they will breach the law.
And I must say I'm most grateful for joining us on this line today, and that's the very person of the lawyer for the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, who is currently in the confines of the police, for making comments which were deemed treasonable by the Information Ministry. It was actually later on charged with same, and we understand that now. Listen to the exact wording the man is being kept in connection, that he's been cautioned on offenses related to causing fear and alarm and treason. Finally, actually, his custody is because they are still doing some investigation in this case. We'll be coming back to this particular matter in the course of our engagement today. But there's more happening in this country than just this. In the course of this week and the beginning of it, you did hear the majority come out with a statement from last week saying that the UT Capital Bank collapse, the people who ought to be held responsible, who we understand were invited by the Yoko, have to be made to pay the 1.6 billion or so. That is the amount of money in all of this that may go to be paid by you and I as Ghanaians, as people who put money in the coffers of the government of the Republic of Ghana. So we have to switch closely to that particular engagement because it's important. But before then, my guest today is the Honourable Member of Parliament who also speaks for the minority on finance. He's the ranking member of that particular finance committee. The Honourable Kisilatu Forson is also a former Deputy Finance Minister. Honourable, you're welcome. Thank you. Of course, let me start from this demonstration that happened earlier today. Mr. Anyidohu's situation is actually because of this demonstration. I was going to announce it. The crux of all of this conversation is the status of force, what they call it, agreement that we have drafted and agreed and ratified. You in Parliament, the minority was out anyway, but you in Parliament actually ratified. What do you think about today's demonstration?
The majority members of Parliament ratified.
Okay. So I thought your agreement with Parliament is that even if I have that, it's still in the name of Parliament.
And there was a division.
Yes, and the record
there was a division.
That
and the division is that we were in part, and so the majority members of Parliament, the MPP majority, decided to pass it. But let me say that today's demonstration was a very successful one. It sends the right signal to the government, obviously, for them to understand that the people of this country are against that particular agreement. If I happens to be the president, or if I am the president, what I would have done is that I will not proceed to sign this agreement, because obviously the agreement has not been signed. What we've seen today is a clear indication that the people of this country will not joke with the sovereignty, our sovereignty. Ghanaians are proud people. Our history tells us that we strongly protect our sovereignty. We ceding our sovereignty to another country is something that we will never do. So clearly, we've sent that signal, and I believe the government will listen to us. It is important, and I heard the president when you said that the president apparently has been speaking to people from Navrongo, and he made mention of the fact that we should come together. Yes, we are ready to come together in unity to develop this country. But he has to lead the way. He's the father of this country. He has to lead the way for all of us to be united. If you decide to brutalize your political opponent, you can't bring us together. I mean, look at the situation relating to Koku and Anyidohu. We all live in this country. I know the way Koku speaks. I'm sure everybody knows the way he speaks. If, for instance, I go ahead and speak this way, people know the way I speak, so people may take my issues very serious. Koku cannot organize a coup d'etat. And in fact, he was even specific what he said, civil coup. So please, let nobody make a mistake and create impression that Koku Anyidohu was planning a coup d'etat. But let me also say this. This is not the first time we've heard certain statements like this coming from a political leader. We've heard it so many times.
That's not
so many times.
That's not to justify.
No, I'm not to justify it. So many times. But the way this government is deciding to go, I mean, it's needless. It's a way I believe they just want to divert attention of what is going on in the country. The hardships, the situation relating to the U.S. agreement, and many more. People want to speak about it, but the government want to use Koku as a scapegoat to cover it. But it will not wash. Please, please, this is not the way to unite a country. I think the president should instruct, he is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, and the police is under him. He should instruct them to be careful the way they are going about this. I don't think that is the way to go. But I strongly believe that the way they are handling Koku is order from above. Somebody is instructing the police authority and the investigation authority.
The police, by your statement, means they are following due process.
Please.
You don't think so?
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Why? What has he done? Keeping him so, you see, it's a clear attempt to keep the guy behind bars for some time and to create impression that, yes, he wants to do A, B, C, D. to cover up issues
to be fair, they've changed their minds along the line. First, they said it was fear and panic. Then they moved on to talk about high treason. Yes. Then they talked about treason. Now they say they cautioned him. You know what they should have simply done? They should have charged him for political treason. What does that even mean? Political treason. That is for a political reason that they just want to slap treason on him. That's what it is. It's ridiculous. It will not stand the test of time. Treason. For just making that statement, it will not stand the test of time. To be fair, we know that they've gone to his house. Yes, what did they find out? Yes, let them come out and tell us what is going on. But I strongly believe that they just want to divert attention. It is very unfair. It is not necessary. They're only diverting attention for the purposes that suits them. It is politically motivated, and it is not good. The government or the president is calling all of us to come together in unity, in developing the country. That is what I believe in. I strongly believe in that. But he is the president of the republic. He should lead the way. He should lead the way. He should not divide us as the police. No, what are we talking about? He cannot. Yesterday you heard what was going on. We had various statements that the investigators were saying they're waiting for order from above. What does that mean? Who is the order from above? Who is that person? Police hierarchy, I want to believe. Oh. Is police hierarchy order from above? What is above? Please, please, please. Let us not be kidding. This is not necessary. The way they are treating Kuku Anyidohu is not the best. Please, we want this country to be peaceful. Yes, I'm not saying that the way he spoke is excellent. Okay, that doesn't mean you support it anyway. You don't support it doesn't necessarily mean that they should also deal with him the way they are dealing with him. Somebody just want to put him behind bars for some 48 hours. They know themselves that it will not stand the test of time. They can never jail him on treason. Please, they shouldn't go there. It will not work. Let us all come together. We raise genuine issues. I expect the president to listen to some of the things that we are saying. It is good for his government. It is good for this country. Obviously, if Ghana succeeds, he will take the credit. The issues we are raising are not personal issues. Okay. We are raising legitimate issues that deals with the governance of this country. And so you should listen to us. You shouldn't just brush it off, and when you speak, they just call you and send you to jails, to jail or BNI to put you in a form of panic and fear. Is that the way we build a country? No, that is not the way we build a country. I don't think the president is on the right path. Somebody should talk to him about that. Okay, but let me come to this particular point. But even before that, would this change anything about the minorities' opposition to the now deemed ratified by Parliament agreement? Will this cower you into thinking, okay, let's forget about this because it's the cause of all of this? No way. We keep talking. I would rather say that has rather strengthened our position. That has rather strengthened our position because clearly the government has proven to us that they are cowards. The government has proven to us that they are worried about the way we are going. So yes, they've shown some sign of weakness. So we exploit that weakness rather. We rather exploit the weakness. They've shown weakness, that indeed they are worried about the way we are going. We strongly stand by our position that this is not a good agreement in the name of the Republic. And so we should reject it. In fact, they should have even given us opportunity to work with it, to strengthen it. That is all what we're asking for. We're asking for an opportunity to strengthen the agreement since it has not been signed. Because there was an opportunity. So give us the chance to strengthen the agreement. You don't even want us to strengthen the agreement. You just want us to pass it. Then why are you bringing it to Parliament? Why are you bringing it to Parliament? You bring something to Parliament, I shouldn't speak about it. I can't have the opportunity to strengthen it where I've seen that something is wrong. We should just improve it. They don't just want us to improve it. So please, we are not going to sit down. We are going to continue criticizing the agreement. And I believe that we are doing this in the interest of Mother Ghana. Not in the name of minority. We are doing it in the interest of Mother Ghana. Okay, but let me ask you the question related to all of this. The understanding is that, I mean, you oppose it, it's been ratified by. What else can the minority do in this case? What else we can do? Your numbers are not enough to
we don't have the
overturn any votes like this.
We are sending,
you can't compel the president to act, it looks like.
We are sending signals to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, that he should not sign the agreement. The agreement is yet to be signed. Though it has been ratified, it has not been signed. So we've gone through the ratification process, but it hasn't been signed. So you shouldn't sign it. You should go back and renegotiate it and bring it back to Parliament. We'll work with him if the agreement is in the interest of this republic. Okay. But as it stands, we strongly believe that it is not in the interest of Ghana. So the demonstrations are only sending signals to His Excellency the President that his people, the people of this country, the very people he has sworn to protect the Constitution, are against that.
But to be fair, the government has actually stated on some what they call ends. The information minister categorically made the point that government's even considering bringing the 1998 and the 2015 agreements to Parliament so that you look at those and ratify those again, because there were agreements that really did not go through the right process.
Raymond, let me say that
at least you were in 2015
and 2000, the 1998 have all expired. So they have expired. So what are you going to do? Bring an expired agreement to Parliament to rectify? I would have thought the information minister would have rather said that you're going to recall Parliament for us to quickly work on the right to information bill and pass it.
Oh, okay.
That is more urgent. That is more urgent, not an expired agreement. So they should rather use that resources that they would have used to recall Parliament for us to rectify an expired agreement. Okay? They should rather use that resources for us to come back, work on right to information bill and pass it, because that is what the people of this country needs. Tell him. Okay. That is what the people of this country needs.
I need you to now, and of course, we will take a break. When we take the break, when we return from this particular break, we will jump into the other conversation. And folks, the other conversation really is about the economics of the state. Recently, we were told by the Bank of Ghana that Ghana's debt has reached 1.142 billion. That comes on the heels of government saying that the debt to GDP ratio has gone down, which should be good news for all of us. But is it really good news? We understand that there are more Eurobonds that are in the offing. We understand government is actually introducing some more interesting ways of getting money from the people of this republic in a way to boost the economy and make it what ought to be the case. Recently, the finance minister came out to say that the things that are supposed to signal growth in the economy, progress, and also the best things happening to this economy are currently happening. All of this will be tested with the minority on this particular matter. And the brouhaha surrounding UT and Capital Bank doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. We will try and get to the bottom of this matter with the ranking member as he, together with his chairman, in fact, his chairman has actually been bold enough to say that we need the people prosecuted and jailed if they are found culpable in the instances that we need to deal with. After this break, we will jump into that conversation to hear on UPfront. You're welcome back to UPfront. The first section of our conversation was most probably dedicated to what's the biggest issue in Ghana today, the arrest. And now we are told that the man has been cautioned on offenses related to fear and alarm and treason felony. That is the latest coming from the police directly, and I did hear his lawyer say that they don't think that these charges will stand. My guest here in the studio, the minority spokesperson on finance, also thinks that these charges are just some form of ruse to keep the man in jail for no apparent reason. He also believes that the president should get to act together. Now, I did tell you earlier on that President Akufo-Addo is today in a meeting with some Navrongo chiefs stating that we all need to be united in the fight to make Ghana develop, regardless of our differences and disagreements. That is what's being said by him. Now, it's also clear that nothing in the police statement talks about the brutalities meted out to people who were there, gathered in front of the, what they call it, office, and also the journalist, my colleague, who was actually subjected to that level of brutality, a case which has been reported to the police anyway. But we are having the second leg of our conversation on the state of the nation's finances. Not long ago, we were told that government is going for more Eurobond, this time around 2.5 billion. And the understanding of this particular amount of money is that it's supposed to go help us make sure we clear our debt. There are other reasons you're also supposed to put it to, but that's been contested. Beyond that, we are being announced and told that 145.5 billion, that's how much this state Ghana owes today. And that amount of money is what we're also going to query. Are we doing smart borrowing? Are we running the country beyond the borrowing that was complained about? And what's the way forward in dealing with this matter? So, Honorable, when you hear, of course, my guest in the studio here is the Honorable Member of Parliament who speaks for the minority and is ranking member on the Finance Committee. Specifically, the issues we are dealing with here, of course, better place to speak to that. Honorable Kesulatu Forsen, when you hear the Finance Minister say, and he said it last week, that we are on the right path, we are in the position to garner more money because we are going for more money. Our financial position is stronger now than it was before. Of course, the Bank of Ghana is responding to robust economic nature with decreases in prime rates and all of that, with the most recent announcement being one of those. And you correspond that with the 142 billion in terms of debt.
Yeah.
What comes to mind?
Let me say that public debt, 146 billion Ghana cedis. As a percentage of GDP, we are looking at 69.8%. I think it's too high. And I have my reasons why I'm saying it's too high. Let us not forget that this 146 billion excludes the recently issued energy bonds, which is approximately 2% of GDP. So if you were to add it, it will take you to 72%.
Oh, okay.
And then let us also not forget that the UT Bank and the Capital Bank issue, government is going to borrow or issue a bond to GCB, approximately 1% of GDP, 2 billion. So that will take us to 73%, yet to be issued. So the debt numbers, I was expecting the governor of Bank of Ghana to come out with gross numbers and net numbers, but he failed to say that. He mentioned only the nominal numbers, excluding the energy sector bond and the one that was recently, that is about to issue. So we are looking at 73%.
And 73%, to be clear,
73%
will be equal the end year 2016 figure, which was 73.3%.
Yes, but let us not forget that we are dealing with a GDP that none of us anticipated that it was going to be bloated. It's going to be bigger in terms of oil in 2017. So there was a windfall that came in. In 2017, the projections was that the ENI field was going to start production in a very small pace and ramp up to high levels in 2018. For some reason, the ENI actually did a lot of exploration in 2017. So that bloated the nominal GDP from oil side. In fact, the growth we are seeing in 2017 is not because of non-oil sector, but actually because of the ENI oil field. So clearly, that was a big windfall. So I was expecting that when you get a windfall like that, that you do not anticipate, clearly your debt situation and your deficit situation should be much better. Yes, on deficit-wise, they are saying they were able to stay within the target. But let us assume that we didn't get that windfall. What would have happened? They would have breached that threshold. Okay, massively, massively. So that 2% extra growth or 3% extra growth, the debt numbers you are seeing, 68.9%, would have actually hit 73 without energy sector bond and without UT Bank, Capital Bank bond. So attach this one, you are going to go to 76%. So that is the windfall that they've had. So I do not see this as an advantage, as overperformance. I've seen that they got some windfall that they never actually expected, and yet they were not able to take advantage of that windfall. It's not good enough. The debt situation as we are going, the way we are going, is not the best. Let me say this. This session, parliamentary session alone, the debt that Parliament was made to approve amounted to about 3.3 billion. 3.3 billion. And other contingent liability that may eventually become debt. So 3.3 billion debt contracting. So if drawdown happens, 3.3 billion is approximately 15 billion cedis. So if you were to annualize it to 3 parliamentary sessions, it's 45 billion. This is a government that made us believe that the money is right here in Ghana. This is a government that made us believe that somebody used to work with Bank of Ghana, he knew the money is in the country, and so they will not have to borrow. Today, their appetite for borrowing is something that nobody can believe about.
They also put out figures that, I mean, they actually borrowed at a relatively slower pace than you did.
Really?
So, for example, they say you did 36% during the previous government's time. They are doing 16%. They virtually halved it.
Yes.
So,
no, I disagreed with that numbers. Openly in Parliament, I challenge the numbers, because you cannot take somebody's performance over a year or what they did was look at NDC's performance over 3 years and then annualize it and then draw an average to 33%. Whereas they are looking at from January to September. I mean, how can you do that?
Okay.
Well, what sort of academic dishonesty is this? Intellectual dishonesty is this? You look at 8-month figure and compare it to 3 years average. It's impossible. I would have even suggested that at least they should have compared one whole year of MPP, 2017, to the last year of NDC. At that point, we can have some conversation. Okay. But the way they are doing,
that's
it is not the case.
Because we just had the December 2017 figures.
Yes.
That's the 142 points.
Yeah, so let us do the debt accumulation.
From what? So 2016, 2017. Okay.
Yes. Then look at the prior year. Then we can draw some conclusion.
That's interesting.
But for you to look at January to December,
January
to September, and then compare it to 3 years and the NDC and draw an average, it's not the way to go.
I get your point.
So please, you see, they are clever in putting numbers and distort it as if they are doing well. They are not. The country is not doing well. And let us face it. That is why the IMF is telling them that even their current budget deficit that they have projected is not achievable. So they should go for a tax.
For 2018?
For 2018. And that is why they are telling them that they should increase taxes by 0.5% of GDP.
But they'll actually be reducing taxes rather.
Well, you see, that is the populist measures that has caught up with them.
How do you say? I mean, these are import duties. They say they are cleared.
I tell you, it's populist. It's populist because, one, you claim that you have reduced taxes on what do you call it, spare parts.
Yeah.
Has the spare parts prices gone down?
But I know that the spare parts people are saying that there are other factors that affect, like exchange rates.
Yes, but let me tell you.
Yeah.
If you make a blanket statement that you have reduced taxes on spare parts, you are wrong. Because one, even if you say it's import duties or import duties on spare parts, it's wrong. What they actually, you see, the actually exempted is not the entire import duties. For instance, if you have to bring an item to the country in the form of a spare parts, you have to pay import VAT, import duty itself, NHIL, ECOWAS levy, and all of that.
Yeah.
But you pick one item out of it, which is about 5% or 10% of the entire mix of import duties, and you exempt it and you claim that you have exempted tax. What have you done? Negligible. You've done nothing, virtually nothing. So please, let us not rush to celebrate. And I remember when the issue happened, I just said to them that, hang on a second, don't celebrate yet. They've done nothing. They have done nothing because the reality is going to catch you up at the end of the month when it happens. But even go to the CS code, the customs harmonized codes. What is a spare part? It is not classified there. So even classification is even a problem. What is classified as spare part is a problem. So they don't even know what is a spare part.
Recently,
actually taxing everything.
Recently, the importers and exporters have raised some concerns about increasing import charges, which they say is really affecting their work in so many ways. But the response from the GRA is that two things. One, that they are not paying the actual prices. There's not been any increase in any way. Secondly, there's a lot of dishonesty and people were cutting corners at the ports previously. Now they are being made to pay what's supposed to be the exact one.
Raymond,
you, for example, will be impressed with the things that are being done at the port, for example, with improvements in the port operations.
I'm not, Raymond.
With automations and other things that you're supposed to improve it?
No, the automations are a different matter. Actually, what they are doing is something that all of us must be aware and must be worried about. They have given a different meaning to what we call valuation.
Okay, forgive me. I'm told that there's a problem with your sound. And let me try and see what we can fix it in a second. We can take a break and come back to do that in a minute. We're still in a conversation on the actual state of the economy and the financial situation, with the debt situation being the current stock of our conversation. We'll be back after this break to talk more about what the real situation at the port is. You're welcome back to UPfront. So our conversation which took us on this particular break was to get to appreciate and understand exactly what the problem with our debt situation in the country is. We moved on to find out the many complaints that have been given out by people at the ports. Are they legitimate? Why could they not be fixed with the paperless structure which is supposed to improve that particular system there? our conversation can continue. And I told you earlier on that my guest in the studio is the minority spokesperson on finance. And we started by getting to appreciate the debt situation. The Honorable Keslatu Forsen, I asked the question about whether or not paperless system, which is supposed to improve the system at the ports, is an improvement that you'll be glad. Of course, when it happened, immediately we understand that we made some huge savings in that era.
Oh no, the actual savings was proven to be phantom. It wasn't really savings. We were told that customs duties were actually increasing. I mean, in terms of revenue-wise, we were getting some revenues, but the numbers did not actually support it. So clearly that is not the case. But let me make a point. Importers are complaining. They are complaining of excessive import duties. Obviously because, one, something is happening. Something is happening that the state and ordinary people are not being made aware of. All of a sudden, they have introduced what we call benchmark value.
Is it all of a sudden?
All of a sudden. It has just happened. All of a sudden. Benchmark value, if I may break it down, what it means is that, for instance, if you go to China and I go to India, and another person go to America and to buy a pen to come and sell in Ghana, your value, even though there's evidence that you actually transferred 5 cedis to the company to buy this, and I transferred 10 cedi and he transferred, let's say, 15 cedis. In the end, they look at the average or the highest of the price and then use that as the value to give you a quotation in terms of how much you have to pay in taxes, because it's a percentage of something. Unfortunately, that is the definition of Brussels' definition of what you call value.
Okay.
The World Trade Organization frowns on it. It is illegal under the World Trade Organization. So what they are doing is illegal, completely illegal. And I'm looking at it. Completely illegal, it has no place in modern trade practices. And the World Trade Organization does not accept it in any way. It amounts to extortion. Because in the end, it may have temporal benefit. But what they are failing to see is that that is going to affect the economy in the long run. I tell you how it is going to affect the economy in the long run. Businessmen want to find a way to stack money outside the country. It's forex outside the country. You are saying that even though he's transferred $5 to buy this, you are saying the customs or the government is telling them that the actual value should have been $10. So what you have done is that you have now given the businessman the opportunity to transfer additional $5 out of the country in savings. So what happens is that you are depleting your forex over time because of this short-term revenue measure. Let us always be careful of the economic implication of certain policies, not only to look at revenue. That will sink this country if we are to go that line. It is absolutely illegal. It is absolutely a form of extorting money from the citizenry, or but particularly
we understand that this benchmark value
that is not the way to do it,
because people are not being truthful.
Look,
they are under declaring.
Look,
they are making it very difficult to determine whether or not the actual amounts of both products are the ones they are telling the custom officers, and that's making the nation lose a lot of revenue.
There are ways to prevent under declaration. There are ways to prevent under declaration through customs best practices. You can check invoices. You can cross-check all of that. In fact, people were even looking at pre-shipment and all of that. But please, benchmark valuation or definition of a value is very ancient. It has passed in the World Trade Organization just like it. Any country taking us into benchmark definition of value is illegal. It is a form of extorting money from importers. So please, let us not always be interested in what you call the the revenue implication, whereas we drifting from the overall impact on the economy. You are rather giving opportunities to the ordinary importer to stack money abroad, which is going to be detrimental to the economic development of this country. So please, it is not the way to go. I'm looking at it critically. Maybe they are doing others that we are not yet aware. But
okay.
We are speaking to the importers to look at what is actually going on at the port, the reasons why the charges are going to go up.
But there's a reaction, you know, from the government. We saw an information ministry statement that was issued recently that said that some amount of tax has equally be taken off from some of these products recently.
Yes.
And we're talking about basic products that were not having the same level of taxes previously.
But Raymond, I found that very disturbing.
With tax reduction?
I found it very disturbing. In the first place, was this taxes passed by an act of parliament? That is $1 million question we have to ask. If they were passed by an act of parliament, the information minister has no locus to issue a statement to suspend a tax that has been passed by an act of parliament. Where are we going as a country? And the second question I want to ask is that if it was not passed by an act of parliament, who had that power, the audacity to go and impose those taxes at the port? And what has been done to that person? Who authorized it? So please, there are questions that we have to ask them.
To the
and we need answers.
Beneficiary, really, it will be the relief that will be considering, and not the legal processes and the parliamentary process, which puts very little money in the pocket of these people.
Raymond, in the first place, these taxes shouldn't have been introduced in the first place.
Okay.
They were not existing taxes. Look at the statement that was issued by the information minister. He said that those taxes they started implementing in March. In March 18th. How come? I'm not aware that there was taxes on condoms, VAT on condoms. And look at the 46 items that they have removed. It includes VAT on condom. I mean, how? VAT on mobile phones. Since when? Since when? So, for somebody to sit in the office and can say that I'm going to impose taxes on all of these things, 46 items.
So why were they introduced?
That is the question. So I expect that the media and ourselves should have asked those questions. The statement wasn't good enough. We should have asked questions so that we can learn lessons from it.
Okay, but I want to move beyond this conversation, forgive me, because there are a lot of issues you need to cover with this particular engagement, and find out from you. We know that UTE and Capital Bank collapsed. We know that the people who are supposed to direct us also lost money in the process. Why are they still being asked to come to Yoko, pay for some 1.6 billion, and why is there even a 1.6 billion debt in the first place?
You see, there are costs that comes along when you are resolving a bank. When a bank collapses, it comes with a cost. Sometimes the cost may be even higher than giving them some support to be able to stand on their toes or be able to continue in operation and go in concerned manner. And that is why when the other bank collapsed, I raised the issue. How much is going to cost us to resolve that bank? Can't we use a fraction of that amount to reorganize the company for it to be able to go, and the impact on the economy largely? I read an IMF document and noticed that $2 billion approximately will be used. It's no longer 1.6. That's moved to
2 billion.
2 billion. Initially it was 1.6, but it has now moved to 2 billion. They did some work that's moved to 2 billion. And that is why it's about 1%.
Sorry, let me be clear. 2 billion for what?
The cost of resolving the bank. Because look,
did they have loans we're not paying?
Let me explain, break it down a bit. If you say a bank is insolvent, so it means that depositors' money, more or less, if they are to collapse today, some depositors would have lost their money.
Yeah.
So they have used depositors' money in running the business.
Okay.
So therefore, the assets of the company, even if you sell it, it is not enough to pay the liabilities. So there's a shortfall.
Okay.
So if I owe 1 cedi and my asset is 50 pesos, in the end, even if you sell me, there was a gap of about 50 pesos that I have to pay. Somebody must show that cost. That is why we in the minority said that, one, The Bank of Ghana has not informed the public about this. I only read it in a document. I raised the issue at the Finance Committee. I requested the chairman to call for a meeting. The chairman called for a meeting. We met with the governor of the Bank of Ghana. The issue was raised. The governor confirmed my position and promised us that they are going to use the 2017 budget to clarify the issue to the public. Unfortunately, they failed. My second argument is that the supposed debt, bond, is public debt. So it means that government has decided to take up that responsibility of taking care of the shortfall.
Of these two banks? Of
these two banks, $2 billion Ghana cedis, 1 percentage point.
And when the government made that decision?
The government made that decision. Yes, it's in the IMF statement that the government has agreed.
Okay.
Agreed to issue a bond to Ghana Commercial Bank, GCB, worth 2 billion cedis, 1 percentage point of GDP. And that bond is going to add to the public debt. Not yet. The public debt you saw, the 69 point something.
Yes.
That's why I said it's gross. You have to add the 1 percentage point to it. That will take you to 71.8%. And then you have to add 70.8%. You have to add the energy bond of another 2 percentage point of GDP. So it will take you to approximately 73% of GDP. Now, the question is that, and it's been done everywhere else in the world. What is normally done is that when a company collapses or a bank collapses, in the UK, Department of Trade will go in and then find out what actually occasioned the collapse. So clearly, if it is the doing of the directors that collapsed the bank, you have to sanction them. In some cases, you ban them from ever becoming a director.
But has that been established?
That is the question. We don't know. We don't have the information. I only heard that they've been invited to Yoko.
Yes.
But what is the situation? Maybe it's part of the investigation process.
And today they were supposed to go there. At 9:30 a.m. they had not been there yet.
So, but the Bank of Ghana has the powers in the Banking Act to do all of this. So I don't know why Yoko is there. Maybe they've seen something that I have not seen. I don't want to prejudice what they are doing. But I thought the Bank of Ghana has a wing to be able to do this. The reason why they gave it to Yoko to do it, I don't know.
Okay,
but please, there are questions. And Bank of Ghana should come clear and give us information.
Okay.
Why is that they failed to announce it in the budget statement?
Let me ask this connected question. And that question is relevant to this because you and the chairman of the committee came out together to say that they should be held responsible for this now 2 billion debts that we are talking about. They came out to say so.
Yes.
I heard recently that the chairman of the committee was insisting they should be jailed or prosecuted for what is happening to the bank and for the debts that they've incurred if they cannot pay for it. Is it a stance that you also support in this case?
I issued a statement. And then obviously when I issue a statement as ranking somebody in government or my colleague, the chairman, may have to speak. So he came to support my argument. That clearly I was raising a valid point. That what normally happens in certain jurisdictions, you do some investigation. And if there are certain assets that are hidden somewhere, you grab it and sell it and use it to defray part of the cost. And where possible, if you find out element of criminality, you have to give it to the criminal investigation bodies to deal with it.
But you're saying today that even if you sell the assets of both banks, it can't defray the 2 billion that we are talking about.
Excellent. Excellent. But you see, my argument is that you have to first of all do some investigation and establish some element of criminality or wrongdoing. In the case of UT, the other one, Capital Bank, there was some information on the social media that somebody was using it to buy certain assets that are not lawful and blah, 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 and some houses sitting somewhere. That prompted me. And I said that, look, let us ask some more questions. Is it fake news or is it reality? I cannot sit here and say that there's element of criminality. No. I'm not investigation body. Okay, but what I'm saying is that the central bank should be able to do some investigation and find out if indeed somebody's action or inaction caused the taxpayer to pay 2 billion Ghana cedis, then you should deal with it.
So let me be clear. Are you asking government to put on hold this GCB bond that we are talking about so that we chase these people for the money first, or we should still go ahead with this bond?
I am asking that. 2 questions I'm asking. If government decide to go ahead with the issuance of GCB bond, they should come to Parliament and get permission because it's public bond, it's public debt. If they are to sit in their offices and issue it, they are going contrary to the Constitution.
Okay.
That is my first point. My second point is that they should tell us whether they have exhausted other ways of reducing the debt. Are there certain assets sitting somewhere that they have not been able to identify or not? We want to find out. So these are the questions that we are asking.
Okay.
And there are issues. Now the government is saying they want to go and borrow an amount of 2.6 billion Ghana cedis.
Is this different from the Eurobond that was earlier advertised?
No, this is the Eurobond that was advertised and Parliament approved.
Yeah.
I have concerns. And he's saying that he's going to borrow 2.6, the use of proceeds, 1 billion to finance 2018 budget, capital expenditure in the 2018 budget. He's going to use 1.5 billion to refinance maturing debt. I have no problem. He's going to use 500 million Ghana cedis equivalent to refinance domestic and expensive cedi-denominated bonds. You know what the problem I have? He's saying he's going to use $1 billion to refinance the 2018 capital expenditure. What is in the budget? So I quickly checked the budget statement and then to do reconciliation. What is in the budget as against? So look, he's saying that Ministry of Health, if you look at Ministry of Health, they are going to spend 350 million Ghana cedis out of the bond proceeds.
Okay.
Okay. But clearly, when you come to the budget statement, the capital expenditure in the budget statement for Ministry of Health is 13 million Ghana cedis. If you look at the budget statement, he's saying that he's going to use an amount of, go to Ministry of Education. Ministry of Education is going to use 135 million Ghana cedis to finance a certain expenditure in the Ministry of Education budget. In the budget statement, what is the Ministry of Education budget is 2.8 million Ghana cedis, capital expenditure. Next point, Ministry of Roads and Highways is going to spend 2.8 billion Ghana cedis to do some road infrastructure. Budget statement. What is in the budget statement for capital expenditure going to be financed by government of Ghana sources is zero.
So they will overspend.
So
they
are going to overspend.
Do expenditures that are not captured in the budget.
So what he's signaling,
yes,
what he's signaling is that he's going to borrow to come and bloat the budget fiscally in discipline. Okay. Or he's going to use that money for the purposes of funding some recurrent expenditure that none of us is.
Unfortunately, I have very limited time. There's a question as to whether or not there's an attempt to do something with our resources when it comes to royalties and minerals and mining royalties. Exactly what's the problem with that?
Do you know, the government is so desperate in looking for money to the extent that they are saying that they are going to now mortgage our mineral royalties for 25 years.
When did this
25 years, yes, it's before Parliament. They've got it before Parliament. No, the decision has not been made. We are going to now look at it. 25 years to raise $750 million. Mineral royalties.
What are mineral royalties?
Mineral royalties is basically the money that the mining companies pay for using our resources.
Okay.
A percentage goes to the chiefs, a percentage goes to these assemblies, and a percentage goes to the central government. Now, what they are telling us is that they are going to mortgages. This is against, this is contrary to Article 267 of the Constitution.
Unfortunately, I don't have any time left. Thank you so much, Honorable. And folks, that's where we tie the nice ribbons on today's edition of Upfront. My name is Raymond Akwa.